Heather Hacker, attorney at Hacker Stevens and former Texas Assistant Solicitor General, joins us from Austin now to give context on Monday's events. Heather, great to see you. What did the Supreme Court argument tell us about the two questions they heard on Monday?
Well, the arguments were very interesting. The cases were presented in a very interesting context. I don't think the Supreme Court has ever heard arguments that quickly on a case since Bush v. Gore. But I would say in the United States versus Texas case, I think there was a significant amount of discomfort among the justices that I observed in terms of whether the United States has a cause of action in that case and the potentially far-reaching implications of ruling in the United States' favor in that case. The justices seemed to be looking to the other case, the Holloman's Health versus Jackson case, as a potentially better way to sort of figure out a way to provide relief for the abortion providers. But of course, that case also presents significant issues with settled legal doctrines that the court seemed to recognize that they would have to expand or make exceptions to in order to allow this lawsuit to go forward.
So very complex. Was there anything surprising about oral argument or the justices' questions?
No, I think it was a little bit surprising that the court seemed to be looking for a way to sort of go outside the normal precedent that they have to follow. I didn't expect that. One sort of out of the ordinary note, just in terms of the argument itself, was that Justice Thomas asked several questions in these arguments, and that's sort of a new thing that I think he's been doing since we came back to live argument from the telephone argument. So his questions were very good, and it was neat to see him participating in that as well. But the justices had a lot of questions. It was a very active bench, and they seemed to really be wrestling with the tough legal issues at play in these jurisdictional challenges.
Did some of the justices show their political stripes in some way and how they feel about the actual abortion issue?
I think it was pretty clear that Justice Sotomayor is very skeptical of this law. I think that was also clear in her dissents from the denial of the stays in these cases. And I think that came through in her questioning during the oral argument as well.
How do you think this is going to impact the upcoming Mississippi Dodds case that will be heard by the Supreme Court on December 1st?
So I don't think that this will have any impact on the Dobbs case per se, but I think the reverse is probably true, that the Dobbs decision could actually impact these cases if one or both of them is allowed to proceed past this jurisdictional phase. If the Supreme Court allows one of these cases to proceed, then the merits of, the underlying merits of whether the heartbeat law is constitutional will then be litigated. And of course, if the United States Supreme Court in Dobbs changes the legal standard that applies to abortion regulations, then that new standard could then be applied as these cases are being litigated on their merits, which, may take some time. But expect rulings on these two cases to come well before the Dobbs ruling, which probably won't be out until, I would say, the end of the term around June
2022. And so you do think that this will come out earlier. So the Supreme Court is going to rule on the Texas issue before the Dobbs case.
I would expect so. I think, if I had to guess, I would say that probably part of the court's motivation in hearing these cases so quickly and in requiring the parties to file briefs so quickly was that they wanted to get this case, these cases resolved, at least on this preliminary basis, perhaps before they even hear the Dobbs case on December 1st.
Well, we'll be looking out for that. Thank you so much, Heather. We'll see when a decision is released on these Texas cases, and we know that we can also look forward to something in June 2022 on the Dobbs case.
Thank you.